I'm Asmodeus, from the Strange and Unusual podcast, a proud member of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the show you're listening to now. The opinions expressed are those of each individual host. Check out all the other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com, and get ready because geekiness begins in 3, 2, 1.
You have been granted clearance by Director Phil Coulson. Stand by for S.H.I.E.L.D. debriefing. All information to be discussed here is classified and may only be discussed among agents granted clearance by the S.H.I.E.L.D. Director.
Now it's time for your scheduled debriefing. I'm Agent Stargate Pioneer.
I'm Consultant Michelle.
And I'm Consultant Lobster.
Welcome to Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., a Marvel Comic Universe fan show. This is show number 131, discussing Daredevil Season 2, Episode 2, Dogs to a Gunfight. This show is recorded on Wednesday, June 22nd, 2016. Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a fan-based podcast on the ABC television show Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Marvel's Marvel's Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and Luke Cage on Netflix, and the general Marvel comic universe.
Because of devil worshippers.
And if you'd like to take this opportunity to talk to us about devil worshippers, you can hit us up on our website, legendsofshield.com. Leave us a voicemail, hopefully of your devil worshiping, at 844-THE-BUS-1. That's 844-843-2871. You can find us on Facebook, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Podcast. Tweet us at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Tumblr, legendsofshield.tumblr.com, YouTube, youtube.com/GonnaGeek, or our website for the Gonna Geek Network at GonnaGeek.com.
This time on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., we're going to be talking about our great giveaway, the Marvel Collector Core Crate, Women of Power. We're going to be talking about Daredevil Season 2, Dogs to a Gunfight. We're going to be talking about the weekly Marvel news, your feedback, and highlights from the live chat room. Hey guys, as you might notice, I am the only regular host this week. I know Michelle's been with us off and on throughout the past couple of weeks. Well, let's just clue you in on a couple of things that are going on. First of all, Agent Haley had something funny happen to her on the way to New Mexico. So that's going on with her right now. And then Lauren decided to go back to Maveth and take a little tour of that this week. So she is hanging out in the pod with anybody else that was going with her that we saw at the beginning of the season finale. We found out that it was actually a thing and she wanted to take a trip. So that is what she's doing right now. So it is just me joined by the great consultant, Michelle. Thank you for joining us tonight, Michelle.
No problem.
At the last minute. Thank you very much. And our regularly scheduled Daredevil guest this week is Lobster.
I am your regularly scheduled devil worshiper.
That's right. So for those of you that don't know, Lobster, Jonah Lobster, is a regular co-host on a couple of Gonna Geek podcasts, which we'll tell you all about later. But just to tease you a little bit, their names are Crimson Comet and Art House Legends. So this guy is actually a big comic book guy, big movie guy. It's got a lot of cred to him. So we like what he has to say in general.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming. And we do have this giveaway going on. Since neither of you are like regulars, you have no idea what I'm talking about. So basically, this is a Marvel Collector Core Crate, Women of Power. It's put out by Pop Funko. They come out every couple of months. This month was the Women of Power. We're giving it away, and we're giving it away to somebody who gets back to us on some sort of non-chat thing that we can actually read later. So Twitter, Facebook, email, our voicemail line, anything that we can actually have a record of. So we're looking at which MCU character, Marvel character, that you want to see gender swap from male to female, and then who would play that role. So as an example, I'm going to say somebody, and you can actually choose this if you want, but you can't choose the actor that I'm talking about because that would be stealing at this point in time. So we're going to be talking about Star-Lord. Now, who would you gender swap Star-Lord with? I'll go with Kristen Wiig. Probably not the best crossover, but I'm just giving that as an example of somebody that could possibly play the role of a female Star-Lord. In the comics, we had Thor crossover to female Thor, and
She'd be a Star Lady.
That's right. So there's a ton of stuff going on out there, and just get us Lobster. If you had to choose one character that you'd want to swap over, who would it be?
I am looking at my action figure over here of War Machine's James Rhodey Rhodes.
Yeah,
and I would swap in Aisha Tyler.
Oh, that would be so cool. Good job. You just entered the contest right there.
I nailed it.
You did. That was great. Michelle, do you have any seconds? I know we were talking about it a little bit last week.
I would like to see Lucy Liu as Daredevil.
Nice.
Okay. Do you think age would have any factor there? No, I think she'd do. Yeah, she'd do.
Yeah, no. She's Lucy Liu.
Yep, Lucy Liu. Lucy Lawless, maybe not. Lucy Liu, definitely. That would be awesome. Okay, so we have those. We actually have some other entries that we'll go over with next time as well. Get your entries in before July 20th, 2016, 8 p.m. Eastern. That is the cutoff time to enter in to the Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Marvel Collector Core Crate Giveaway. Women of Power. So this week, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking exclusively, at the beginning at least, about Daredevil, Guns to a Dogfight. It's the second episode of the second season of Daredevil on Netflix, dropped earlier this year. Michelle and I were both at C2E2 the weekend it dropped off, so it took me a couple of weeks to get to it. Michelle, you're just watching it now for the first time, right?
That is correct. I didn't have time then, and then I learned you guys were actually going to do it over the summer, and I was just like, you know what? Why don't I just watch it as the podcast happens? So I am just right with it. I haven't seen anything else.
All right. So we got something special going on with Michelle here. So let's just walk through the creative team here. It's actually the same creative team as the first episode. So I don't know if they did this for a 2-hour TV pilot, if it ever go to TV or not, but it's directed by Phil Abram, who has 31 total directing credits, as we discussed last time. And I'm just going to I ran down the list last time, and I'm just going to pick out one. Yeah, I'll go with The Walking Dead. That's always action-packed, right, Lobster?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so he's got some action there. He's got a bunch of other geek credits as well. It was written by a combination of Mr. Douglas Petrie and Marco Ramirez. They have a lot of the same directing credits, writing credits, including The Defenders. So nice. Allegedly, that's supposed to come out on Netflix sometime in the future. So we're all really excited about that. So Lobster, Michelle, you guys have anything that you want to say about these three individuals?
That's not a typo in the show notes that he directed 15 episodes of Mad Men, Phil Abraham?
Yes, he did.
That's a lot of Mad Men. That's Mad Men.
Wasn't that 3 seasons or 4 seasons? It was more than 2. 6?
Yeah, no, it went for a bet.
Well,
5 or 6. That's one I have yet to crack.
Yeah, I know. I did not walk down that road. I had so much other things. Matter of fact, my son and I were talking at dinner tonight of some of the great episode series that we have seen lately and how they ended. And we were comparing and contrasting Chuck, Burn Notice, and Justified.
Sure.
So, 3
all good shows.
Definitely.
I'm a big Justified fan too. I don't know if I've mentioned
I know
that
it's great. And out of the 3, I would pick the best ending to be Burn Notice, but
okay, that's the one I haven't seen.
Justified might
good stuff. That one I don't think I've watched the last season yet.
Out of those 3, Justified's definitely the best series, at least to me. A lot of people like Chuck. And
sure.
in totality, Chuck was a good series. Hated the way it ended. So, Michelle, have you seen those 3?
I've seen some Chuck, and I was a huge Burn Notice fan, so I watched it all the way through. So, yeah.
The dialogue in Justified, the dialogue is absolutely amazing.
It's worth it just for the scenery chewing.
That too. So if you haven't checked it out, go check out Justified. Go check out Burn Notice and Chuck, by the way, if you haven't already. All right, so let's get down to dogs to a gunfight.
Not guns to a dogfight. That's just awkward. Nobody wants to.
That's right.
PETA's going to get involved. SPCA. It's not good.
So why did they title the episode "Dogs to a Gunfight"?
I believe. Well, you have the dogs of war involved.
Yes.
You have the ambush sort of later on in the episode where I think that's the gunfight. And you also have, there is an actual dog in the episode. I believe the dog was in part 1 as well. That's where the dog came from.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, I think it's just a nice little turn of phrase. If you got clocked in the head by, I don't know, a bullet, you might, mess up your idioms a little bit.
Yeah. Michelle, what do you think? You were about to say something there.
I really, the Dogs of Hell, biker gang, that sequence. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I like it with the guy with the headphones.
Yeah.
And
okay, so let's talk about the action scenes or the fight scenes. So no hallway fight in this episode. However, we did get an amazing fight that we didn't actually see any of the action going on, but the Dogs of Hell in their semi-stealing breakdown shop, they got a little busted over the head, didn't they?
A little. I really liked how that was shot, because you got the guy with the headphones who's power washing, and all of a sudden, like, you just know, boom, boom, hear stuff, and then all of a sudden that body comes in and it's blood, and the guy's just like turning around, and then
wait a second.
Boom. That was, I really liked
my
how that was
favorite
shot.
thing. That's a great way to do a scene like that, because it's kind of you save a little bit of money with not showing the gunfight go down, but you ratchet up the suspense because you know what's happening, and then you just have kind of the humor of the guy like, I'm gonna hose out this truck, which also has a dead body in it, by the way. He's hosing out blood. Mm-hmm. But because they just killed the driver of the electronics truck, I think. And and then there's that, and then you have him like playing with the sprayer because it's not working, and he's like hitting it against the side.
Do you know
of the
why
thing.
it wasn't working? Because
dead bodies
were falling on the hoses.
Kink in the hose there, you know what I mean?
Just a little bit.
Not gonna work out. So, and then poor guy gets himself strapped to the driver's seat and
question
taped in.
Is the guy alive before the truck enters the yard, or is the Punisher killed him already?
I don't know. It took a very specific path going in through that gate, so I kind of think maybe he was, and he's like, look, the Punisher's like, look, you'll be fine, just drive the truck in through this door, nothing will happen.
But he was duct taped to it, so I'm thinking not. I'm just thinking he was positioned, and the Punisher just sort of.
But why would you duct tape him if he was dead?
To make sure he doesn't.
So the body, so the body wouldn't move.
I guess.
Is you're using the weight of the body
to keep the car on, or keep the truck on course,
right,
but it didn't stay on course. It kind of like veered off the road into the.
Well, after he was shot,
it just needed to go into that area. Okay. It didn't need precision driving. He just needed it to be a battering ram. Okay. It's just go that way.
Well, just the distraction was all he really needed.
Okay, since we're there already, I'm just going to bring up the next question. If the Punisher set the semi to go and then ends up on top of the water tower, how fast was he moving? He was moving faster than the truck.
Yeah. Yep.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Punisher was indeed
unless there was some sort of like remote starter for the truck. That's the only thing I could think of.
Yeah, hard to remote start a truck and then put it in gear. Not saying it can't be done, but
just saying. I don't know. I think that's more the case for the guy being alive then.
Well, if if it's far enough away, and then it comes,
it's still
I guess
far.
Then he would
He doubled
run.
back.
Yeah, something.
I'm telling you, zip line.
It's probably what it was, zip line. Or reverse zip line. Although with that, you'd need like a rocket propelled zip line, and that would be noticed by the cops nearby.
You would think, yeah.
So okay, we're
maybe he went over to Batman and got a grappling hook.
That's right.
And just
stole it from Gotham.
The little smoke powder.
This time you guys crossed the stream. One me.
That's right.
Marvel to DC, guys. This is Marvel. This is not DC. I know the last podcast we did together was DC. This is Marvel. All right.
Okay.
So we had the great fight at the yard with all these cops going nuts, and then Daredevil gets in the mix, and they're shooting at Daredevil, and Foggy knows that they're shooting at Daredevil.
Yeah.
And he goes out to try to save him because he knows he's in trouble.
After he's like, Karen, don't leave. This is the safest place. Do not go out there. No matter what, stay in this room. He's like, oh my God, Matt. And he runs out. Like, oh, okay, cool.
But she doesn't know it's Matt. Although
she doesn't know. Yeah.
I mean, she's not stupid, as she said before, but an amazing sight, an amazing fight. And
well, yeah. I mean, so obviously rooftop fights are the bread and butter for Daredevil. We just had a rooftop fight last episode that ended in Daredevil getting shot in the head, which I think we'll talk about that, the repercussions. But the closing fight, anytime I see one of those windows, those skylight windows just there, I'm like, oh yeah, somebody's going to go through that. Like, you don't put it in the shot and then not throw the guy through it. So
it might not actually be in the building. They might actually put it in for the shot and then repair the roof afterwards. Yeah.
Right. But there's about a waist high parapet on the building. And so the snipers are shooting because they're like, look, we got to take out the Punisher and you have your orders. So they're like, but we don't want to shoot the devil of Hell's Kitchen. They're like, you have your orders, take the shot. And so their Punisher and Daredevil are trying to fight each other while not getting shot by the bullets that are coming across, and periodically one of them gets grazed and then they have to kind of roll. And
somebody got shot in the leg.
Yeah,
Punisher
I think
did.
Punisher did. Yeah, the leg or the arm, something.
All right, Michelle, this is the first time you've seen this. You haven't gone any further than this episode, so we need to talk about the pawn shop. What do you think that was all about at the end?
Well, it's like he's like, okay, this illegal activity is okay. Stealing and getting me a tactical thing, that's fine. And giving me the videotape, so that's fine. And then he walks, and then the guy just wouldn't shut up. It's like you had all that money in your hand, and you just had to tell him you had kiddie porn. And it's like, once he mentioned the child pornography, Punisher's just like, let me put my coffee up.
Yep.
Let me close the place. And instead of using any of the guns, let me use this baseball bat, because that is how awful I think you are. You are not worthy of a bullet. You are going to get your head smashed in. You are going to hurt.
Yeah.
So
now, as we go forward, I want you to remember that scene. And I want you to think about it, because it'll make sense a little bit more later. I mean, it makes sense now to me, but
yeah, sure.
You go forward and it really starts to make sense what actually happened, because it's a little odd. I mean, the guy doesn't want to draw any attention to himself. He's beating up a lot of people. He's killing a lot of people. Doesn't want to get caught, but he takes the chance to do this anyway. So there is a reason. Just want to let you know that, and we'll just to let the listener know, we both Lobster and
put that on the back burner.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll talk about that later.
I just figured he has a line, so there's more to it.
He's got a code. He's
a
psychopath. He's a murderer, but he has a code, and you see it. I think more maybe in the next episode, you kind of get his thesis about why he does what he does, and that's it. The next episode is really interesting, so stick around for that. And he kind of explains his raison d'etre. Yeah,
he does. But at the beginning of this episode, there was the hospital cleanup. So, the shotgun shells are being taken up. You also get a look. I can't remember if it's at the beginning. I don't think it's at the beginning. It's later when you get a look at the bar and the CSI with the bar. So you got that stuff going on. So New York is bracing, obviously, for what's going on, and that is what brings Reyes in to the grotto thing. So you've got Samantha Reyes, the DA, the actual New York DA.
Yep.
Played by a black woman, by the way. So kudos on Marvel for diversity there.
Who you saw in Jessica Jones.
That's right. Later. No, Jessica Jones was first, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She reprises her role.
Yeah, fair enough. So,
and Blake Tower, her assistant, is, I believe, a series regular.
Right. I think we'll see him later as well.
Yeah.
So you've got all that going on, and they're trying to take care of the Punisher because the Punisher is single-handedly demolishing a lot of stuff. Now, it might be a lot of bad people, but still, do the ends justify the means? You have all that great conversation in the episode about being a vigilante, and that is something of concern. I mean, the devil of Hell's Kitchen has opened the floodgates, according to the officials on this, and even Brett comments on it. Like, half the guys in the force like it, half the guys don't.
Sure.
And Karen mentions it too, right? She's like, maybe we created him because of all of this, and it's like, it's like, Matt's like, maybe I should let her, and then she talks about, like we created the situation. We might have created the Punisher. And
that was a very powerful conversation between the two of them. Information is being exchanged. Neither party really realizes that the information is being truly exchanged. And then afterwards, Matt goes out and tries to act on it. And we see how well that takes off. But to get back to the beginning again, Foggy, just like he does at the end battle, the beginning, he realizes what's happened. He can't get a hold of Matt. It's daytime. He knows Matt is only in the devil costume during the nighttime, and he doesn't know where he is. He's got to find him. And he does the slick New Yorker trick of, hey, man, I locked my keys in.
Yeah. I locked myself out. Your kid locked you out? Are you an idiot? Yeah.
Does all of New York fall for the "I lost my keys" bit? Like
that's what I was thinking. No,
I don't want to live it. I don't want to live in any of those buildings.
I know.
Nope.
No wonder they need vigilantes. Got that sort of stupidity going on.
Security is better than Star Labs, to do a little crossover to my other podcast, but still not that great.
Do you think Gunther lives in one of those buildings? Do you think that's what happened?
No, he doesn't. He's like, you forgot your keys. All right, come on in.
So it's okay. So it's better than Star Labs. So it's Star Labs, then the Daredevil part of New York, and then the Arrow Cave.
Yeah,
because we know the Arrow Cave has the worst security.
Yeah. You've got like
all superhero domes.
Jessica Jones's front door with no window. Yeah.
Even that is more secure to me than the Arrow Cave. Okay.
She locks the door. It doesn't have a window, but she locks it.
How can Jessica Jones' apartment possibly be more secure than anywhere else? People get thrown through the walls. Entire walls don't exist anymore. I mean, it's not just the front door.
The only secure place we've seen is Hellcat's apartment.
Exactly.
With the panic door.
There's a panic room, assuming the building's still standing. I mean,
right.
Who knows? Buildings can come down. Buildings came down in season 1 of Daredevil, so it can happen. Mm-hmm. All right. So Matt, Daredevil, is experiencing a concussion, but his special powers are amplified. So I would think even the concussion is amplified. I mean, we see some effects, but man, I mean, I've lived with somebody that's had a concussion for a year. And it's not a pretty sight. Took more than a year to recover. I can't imagine somebody like Daredevil going through it. Oh, my gosh.
I mean, in terms of the actual force applied, what would that be? So at like 5 feet away, takes a bullet to the forehead. Obviously, the mask stopped it, but it didn't stop the force. So the bullet didn't penetrate, but still that force has to go somewhere, and the padding can only take so much. Plus, he fell off the building and probably also landed on his head on the way down because he went over kind of head first.
So it's an interesting note. You think that football players are cushioned or hockey players are cushioned because they're wearing a helmet.
Right.
Not entirely the case. So a helmet can actually amplify the actual hit depending on how it's made. The general thought is if you have a helmet, generally one piece, that's designed to deflect the blow over a larger area, and it doesn't deform. And basically, if you have a multi-part helmet, it will have less surface area to deform at you, so basically more pressure per square inch, and it'll hit you harder where it's actually hitting you. A whole one-piece helmet kind of moves that deflects the impact over more surface area. I mean, it still squishes pretty much like an egg, but you get more of a deflection around the sides. Daredevil's helmet is multiple pieces. We actually see that later. So in terms of a concussion, in terms of concussive science that we know today, it is the worst possible design from a concussion standpoint. Now, it was never designed with a concussion in mind. It was designed to deflect knives and gunshots. Yeah.
Which it does that. It stops there's no penetration damage.
Right.
But still the actual force of, the force that gets applied.
Right. So,
and one would assume that if it was a glancing blow off the top, or maybe it clipped a horn or something, he might have gotten off a little, with a little less damage, but it was square right in the old third eye.
It was right there. So this is really going to affect him, whether you realize it or not, throughout the rest of the season. And just really, because concussions don't go away overnight. They really, I mean, the whole thing of you losing consciousness and then you're fine, you get knocked out and you're fine the next day or whatever. It's not the case. You can take a look at the NFL, the movie Concussion that came out with Will Smith. I haven't actually seen it, but I've heard a lot about it, how it does a great job of actually describing what a concussion is and what it can do to an individual, both short and long term. You take a look at the NFL concussive progress that they do, the tests that they do on and off the fields, and how controversial that is. But then you take a look at the long-term health effects. The NCAA is doing the same thing, not only with football, but with all of its things. And it's not just sports, by the way. It can be different
curling.
Things.
Just updated their curling. The stones and the ice and the brooms.
Yeah,
they just updated their concussion protocol,
and
because you take a fall on the ice,
right? You can't, and they're not wearing any helmets.
Yeah,
so it's actually worse.
So Matt's not miraculously okay in the next episode. There's actually the repercussions actually last.
Now he's been captured by the Punisher, so.
Yeah, deal with that as well.
In the comics, and I can't remember if they mentioned this last season or not, but as part of his abilities and also part of his training, he has a heightened feedback, and he can heal himself through meditation. Mm-hmm. And by entering a meditative state, and because of his senses, he's able to focus on the areas of his injury and actually heal faster, not like Wolverine or Deadpool, but he can actually recover from injury at a faster rate than a non-metahuman would be able to. I can't remember if they mentioned that in the show last season or whether it comes up here or not. But I do know that fact about Daredevil.
Oh.
Right. It takes a little bit longer. So it doesn't go away.
He got his bell rung for sure.
Right.
And that scene where he loses his hearing and he's just against the wall and there's silence and you see him scream. I thought
of Archer going mop, 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 mop.
Oh, and the great thing about
all I could think of, and it was horrible because he's having a Helen Keller moment right there. Like he can't hear or see, and so and because of it, the way his senses work. I mean, he's experiencing true blindness, really.
Yeah.
So that
or just
quite terrifying.
Senses. Yeah, can't.
Yeah.
And because he can't see or anything.
I think what happened was it overloaded. So whether it was the pills or the glass, overloaded his senses, and after that, it was just that after echo where he couldn't hear anything or sense anything. So it was, I think, him experiencing true blindness. I don't know if they really showed it the best way, but I think that's what it was supposed to indicate.
Right. That's a good question, because if they showed it the way they did either in the movie or last season in Daredevil with the world on fire or whatever, it would be a complete wall of fire, red or whatever, just intense.
Or just like an old TV, just the static, the snow.
Yeah, that too. So a lot of possibilities. I am glad they didn't go that route, because it's so it would be so hard to show anyway, and they have other things to deal with as well. But so Daredevil goes off to Melvin. It was great seeing Melvin again. Betsy was mentioned again. I hope we actually get to meet Betsy at some point in time, because she just comes up over and over and over again, right? And Melvin is protecting Daredevil, and Daredevil is protecting him and Betsy. So you got that whole thing going on. And we already went over the suit and the fact that Melvin is going to have to make a new one, because this one might be good enough to withstand a fight, a couple blows, maybe a knife slash, but it's not going to withstand another gunshot. So he needs a new one.
He needs a new helmet. And the old one, this one, I didn't really like the design of it. I like the design of the new one. He gets much better. And honestly, there's a weird thing with this one where it's got cups over his ears, which doesn't make any sense for someone whose superpower is based on their hearing primarily. So,
but it has had those slits in it.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, I'm wearing headphones that have like vents in them, but it doesn't work that well. I like the design of the new helmet that he gets a lot better.
Right.
Okay.
He needs some Stark tech, basically. Just like his pal Spider-Man. He needs some Stark tech. So we'll see if that ever happens or not.
And also, this is just a general Daredevil thing that I have. Now, the last time I came on to talk about Daredevil, he was still wearing just the black hood thing.
Mm-hmm.
What's the point of having eyes in the mask? Like, is that so like people don't realize he's blind? He kind of has those.
Well, I think so. I think that's the way it is. And also they look creepy because they're dark and they got like that little highlight.
But if it was just smooth and flat, like a xenomorph, like one of the aliens from Alien, like think how cool that, like scary that would look.
But then people would know he's blind.
So if they don't do it, it would be like one of those stupid Pop Funkos without the mouth. And you're like, yeah, that's just freaking me out. Yeah. There's no mouth there. So there's that.
There's no mouth on that guy. Right. But yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about Foggy, because this was an amazing episode for Foggy. He rescues Daredevil. He's like, dude, you got to stop. He tries to take the suit away, doesn't succeed. But then he goes to take on...
You want to run around in your underwear? It's not underwear. Underwear is comfortable.
He goes on and takes on the New York City DA head-to-head by trying to call the U.S. Attorney's Office, basically, because...
By basically threatening to call her parents. Like, don't make me call your mother. I will call your mother right now. I'm dialing the phone. It's ringing. You're going to be in big trouble.
And he was impressing Karen left. Foggy has these moments where you think he's just this doofus. And as we saw last episode, he takes on the Dogs of Hell, a whole gang, just to get information for Daredevil. And then this episode, he takes on the district attorney. He's still wet behind the ears. He still, in the end, gets snowed over by her. But the way that it goes on, he's still involved. He's still there to protect. And, well, we see how that pans. I won't spoil anything for Michelle. We see how it really pans out in the next few episodes. But this episode, he was really trying to take care of his client. Good on Foggy for doing that.
Yep. Did I talk about the last time I was on how Foggy's my favorite character?
Yes, you did. But go ahead.
Okay. He's my favorite character. Yeah. He's totally my favorite character in the show, and makes what this show does so well. And I think we can kind of compare this a lot to Arrow in a lot of ways, because it takes kind of the same dark tone and it deals with vigilantism in a similar way that Arrow does. But the way that these characters interact, they interact in such a more realistic way, I think. And like when they see each other after like something crazy's gone down, they hug each other. They're showing like genuine, real, like concern and emotion for each other. And when you have the argument between like Foggy and Matt about like how Matt is in no condition to go out and fight crime, or, that the police, he should just trust the police to do their jobs and let the district attorney and everybody do their jobs. And Matt's just like, no, can't happen. And Foggy's like, yeah, man, that's the way it's got to be. So it's to me a more realistic, even though this is people with superpowers and stuff, it seems more realistic than the way that Arrow presents it sometimes.
Yeah, because Foggy and Matt, it's like Foggy doesn't like what Matt's doing, but he's still there. He still loves Matt. Yeah. It's not like we have this one disagreement and then I'm going to walk out the door.
Yeah.
Even though I said we're in this serious relationship sort of deal. Matt and Foggy, they have this great brother family relationship, and Foggy hates what he's doing, but he's like, I'm still there for you, man. So yeah.
Bros. Nelson and Murdoch bros.
What
avocados for life.
Avocados for life. Best damn avocados. What did it look like when Foggy was taking Matt home? Matt still mostly in the Daredevil costume and also semi-conscious. I'm just imagining kind of like a weekend at Bernie's routine that they're doing.
You and the weekends at Bernie's. You've got weekends on Bernie's.
Did I mention that last time?
You did.
Did I mention?
You mentioned it last week on Starling Tribune. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. I've got it on the brain somehow.
I wonder how he did get him home, though.
Yeah.
Like, fireman's
how do you?
I mean, you just call an Uber, right? It's New York. Whatever.
Yeah.
Dude.
Nobody's going to ask questions.
Nobody. Nice costume. So Karen,
I didn't know Comic-Con was this weekend.
New York Comic-Con. That's true. Karen, she again pulls it off. She's taking care of Grotto, but she's got some concerns. Like the Punisher might be coming out to get her. What if she deserves it? And as we saw at the end of last season with Wesley, she's shot a man. She has taken him out.
Yeah.
So she's got some guilt.
She's driving around in a dead man's car.
And the fact that he got killed is because of her and a whole bunch of stuff like that. So there is some things going on in Karen's life that are meaningful, and she's not telling anybody. And I don't know why. I mean, we talked about this last time, Michelle, where the people, Foggy and Matt, are not telling Karen. Karen's not telling them. This is going to fester. It's a whole, again, with the analogies to Arrow, people are not talking to each other, and it's going to end up badly because of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. She's like, if I tell them, they'll think less of me. And then they're like, well, if she knows he's Daredevil, will she think less of him? And it's one of those, will you think less of me? Well, I don't know. It's like, just talk to each other. Talk to each other.
That's right.
I mean, I'm going to give props to this show for the way that it handles Karen's character and keeping her in the dark about certain things, but also giving her enough agency to get deeper into certain aspects of the story than some of the other characters actually get into. Last season, it was when she was researching Fisk with Ben Urich. This season, she gets more into discovering who Frank Castle really is and what his story is than the ones who are actually like fighting him hand to hand. So
and that starts in this episode, by the way.
Yeah,
she's on that computer doing research, trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So just for the way that this show handles her character, I think is great.
That's right. All right. So let's talk about how the city of New York, the DA, completely ditches Grotto. He is inconsequential. They don't care about him. Total bait. Don't really care if he's dead or not. And is that right? Is it not? I mean, you're trying to catch the Punisher. This guy's killed a lot of people. He's unstoppable, right?
Well, so the setup that they give is they want him to wear the wire to implicate this other drug dealer that they're interested in, this other crime guy, not related to the Punisher in any way, just another guy involved in criminal activities. And really, so that's the whole setup. That's what they tell Foggy and Karen, and that's what he's putting on the wire. That's what he expects. And really that is all a ruse. They just want to get him out in the open and lure in the Punisher to, because they know the Punisher's interested in Grotto, so they figure if they can put Grotto out there, then the Punisher will come, and that'll give them an opening to get the Punisher. What they don't know is the Punisher went to the pawn shop, got the encrypted tactical radio that they're using for all their back channel talk about setting up the ambush. So he already knows all of this. The ambush becomes a double ambush, and then it becomes a triple ambush because Daredevil has one of the smoke grenades. Oh, crap.
Right. Okay, so at this point in time, do you think the Punisher is really after Daredevil? Do you think that he meant to kill Daredevil last episode? No, I don't. I think that
was a warning shot.
I think there's a mutual admiration because the Punisher realizes what Daredevil had accomplished just last season, just a few months ago, really, in taking down Wilson Fisk. So he's thinking he might be a comrade in arms. So at this point in time in the series, I got to say that he's not interested in killing him, but he needs to harangue
get
him.
out of the way. Get out of the way.
Yeah.
Let me do my thing.
Exactly. And the only way to do that is to actually talk to each other.
What I found interesting about that scene is that Daredevil gets in the way of the cops. Instead of just grabbing Punisher and just sort of like, here you go.
Toss him off the roof. Here you go.
Here you go, have him. He's still fighting him. You know, like earlier in the conversation with Foggy, you know, he actually grabs his suit and kind of like hugs it. And he has like, for some reason, he's like on this Daredevil high. And I saw it in that fight to where he's like, I have to do this. I have to do this. It's like, no, there's a whole bunch of cops there. And just like, go, here you go. And something. I mean.
But I think on the other hand, he doesn't want the cops to kill Punisher because he doesn't want anyone to die. So I think he's trying to subdue Punisher and, you know, get him non-lethally. And I think on the other hand, he's afraid that if he does let the Punisher get away, whether or not the cops can take care of him, he's afraid that they can't. They won't be able to stand up to him because he's a one-man army.
Yeah, so
that means he really doesn't think that much of the cops then.
No,
I mean,
I don't think he does. Otherwise, he wouldn't run around in his underwear or not underwear. But
I know where you want to go, Lobster. You stay away from that.
Okay, fair enough. I was going to say something about. Oh, okay. So I think you're right. Like the Punisher and Daredevil at this point aren't enemies. What I think it is that the Punisher sees Daredevil as kind of like a half measure to what actually needs to happen, because Daredevil busts him up, but eventually they heal and get back on the streets or get released from jail. Whereas once Punisher takes care of them, they stay down. And so that I think is like the fundamental disagreement, I guess you would say, between the two of them. But now that Daredevil has interfered twice in the Punisher's affairs, then that will be the end of it. And I think for a guy whose armored suit has a big opening, like right there, the fact that the Punisher didn't shoot him in his mouth or something, that was a warning shot. So.
Yep. All right, guys, I think we're at the end of our discussion for the episode. A lot of great things coming up next week with episode 3, which is entitled New York's Finest. But before we get there,
just a quick question.
Yep.
Do we do Easter eggs at all with this?
No, we nothing in the show notes, but if you got something, go ahead and bring it up now.
So, Melvin in the comics, do you know about Melvin?
I think we discussed him last year, but I don't remember anything.
Yeah, Stiltman, and also Gladiator. He has a couple roles that he plays in the comics. In the shot where you're in his workshop, you can see in the back corner the Stiltman costume, and also the saw blades is a big part of his shtick in the comics.
I remember
the circular saw blades, and he holds one up rather menacingly.
He does
in this episode,
like he's going to take care of Daredevil right then and there.
Yeah,
it's like, dude.
So that's a part of his comic book lore. And in this, they're using him to kind of supply Daredevil with his armor and armaments, and he's not done yet. So stay tuned to see what else he comes up with.
All right, you got anything else?
Grotto is a character from the comics as well.
Yeah, we discussed that last week.
Okay, yep. His name, they give him a real name in this one, which is Groat, which is a terrible name. I would definitely go by something different if my last name was Groat. I think I would. I would change that. Yeah, sure. All righty.
All right. Michelle, you got anything last words you want to say about this episode?
No, I'm good.
All right. You liking the series so far?
Yeah, I am intrigued by where it's going to go. I'm eager to see what Karen and Foggy are up to.
I think we all are. All right. You know, Lobster, we mentioned a couple of podcasts that you were on. You're part of the network, the Gonna Geek Network, just like Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. And you are on Crimson Comet, which is a podcast on the CW show Flash of DC Universe. You're also on another podcast looking at some art house sort of movies in Art House Legends. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about both?
Okay, so Crimson Comet, like you said, we talk about CW's The Flash. We also talk a little bit about some of the extraneous Flash-related DC media. We've done episodes of the Justice League animated series and the animated movie Flashpoint Paradox. We've also done a couple of the 1990 Flash TV series episodes and done some commentary on those, which is a lot of fun. But primarily we talk about the Flash and the burgeoning universe or multiverse that it's creating on the CW, which will now expand to include Supergirl next season. So we're pretty excited about that. And my other podcast that I'm on with Eric and Kent is called Art House Legends. And that show, we look at the movies that everyone tells you should see. Like, oh my God, you have to watch this movie. This is one of the greatest movies of all time. We'll be the judge of that. Thank you very much. So we look at these classic movies, independent films, award-winning critical darlings, and we give them a pass, fail, or maybe based on our opinions. And this summer, we're actually, for the second year in a row, we're doing an art house summer special event where we're taking some of the biggest blockbusters of all time, drive-in classics. We're doing Mad Max Fury Road, The Lion King, Independence Day, Ghostbusters, and Smokey and the Bandit. So all of July, and I think one extra week in June, we're doing these massive tentpole popcorn flicks. So that's a lot of fun for us.
I can't wait to watch Mad Max Fury Road. I actually have the DVD or the Blu-ray. I got it on sale last holiday season. Still haven't watched it. I'm definitely going to watch it this weekend because I know
Art House biggest screen you have.
Well, I've got one right out there, so I'm definitely going to do that. Michelle, are you going to watch Independence Day Resurgence?
I don't know if I'm going to go to the theater or not. There's still a lot of movies I want to see the theater. Like I haven't had a chance to see Conjuring 2 yet. So there's other things I want to see in the theater. So we'll see.
I think I'm going to see it in the theater. I just don't know when, because I've got some business travel coming up. I've got the 4th of July holiday going to the family vacation home. So got some things going on. And then when I come back, I'll jump straight into podcasting. So not sure if I'm going to be able to catch it. Lobster, you're going to see it?
Independence Day? Maybe. I tell you what, though, the more I think about it, the more I get excited for Ghostbusters. And there's been a very vocal contingent on the internet that has been poo-pooing this movie. And I tell you what, man, Ghostbusters is a very important piece of my childhood, probably my first fandom. I had the lunchbox. I had all the toys. I had my PKE meter and my trap and my proton pack from the real Ghostbusters. Now, that's an important distinction, though.
The real
but
Ghostbusters.
The more I think about it, the more I'm ready for this to come to a new generation. And you know what? Whatever that looks like, I am ready.
Yeah,
me too.
I just have to acknowledge this. I'm not sure why it happened, but the Ghostbusters trailer, the original one that came out, is the most disliked trailer ever
It is.
on YouTube. So I don't know.
Unjustly so.
I mean, these are people that have never seen the movie, and
Sure.
they're just evaluating the trailer. Yeah, but really, guys, it's this pre-hate. Go to In Defense Of, like,
right,
episode 2, 1, whatever
I was on
it
that
was.
one.
Yeah, don't pre-hate. All right. Let's get on to some Marvel news. You know what, guys? I just saw a bump that I should have used instead because our friend Kier made it. So we're going to use that one.
All right.
Yes, bump provided by Kier Hansen of Gallifrey Public Radio and In Defense Of, which we were just talking about in Not Pre-Hating. Both found on the Gonna Geek Network at GonnaGeek.com. So some of the news that we're going to be talking about, and Michelle is laughing because I was given an award on the GonnaGeek.com show for the best promotion placement on the Gonna Geek Network or the GonnaGeek.com show or whatever. So go check that out on GonnaGeek.com, episode number 150 of the official GonnaGeek.com podcast. All right, so, and she's still laughing because I did it again. All right, so Civil War crossed over the $400 million U.S. box office line. The only movie to do so in 2016. It wasn't Daredevil, or excuse me, it wasn't Deadpool. It wasn't Superman versus Batman. It wasn't Apocalypse. It was, which is still in the theater, by the way.
Sure.
Both
wasn't Warcraft. Was not Warcraft.
Not yet.
Which is doing pretty good. Just
Right.
not in the United States.
So interesting to note as well, I saw a couple of news stories that said both Dawn of Justice and Deadpool finally left the theaters this week.
Yeah.
And Deadpool, with a domestic box office, I believe, of $363 million, outperformed Dawn of Justice, which only did $300 million. So I bring this up largely because on the GonnaGeek.com show in 2 weeks, so when I get back, so it'll be episode let's see, next week will be 151, 152, so I think it'll be episode 153. I will be going over a comicbook.com or comic book box office, comic adaptation movie box office extravaganza. So just stay tuned for that. I got a lot of great knowledge that'll be dropping on that, and stuff like this, the domestic box office stuff, actually plays in some of the comic book movie adaptation rankings. So just stay tuned for that. All right.
So we are going to get SP Sexy Math movie time.
When I return from my travels, yes, we will get another edition. As a matter of fact, it'll be an explosive entire segment full of that. So just wait for it. It's going to be fun. All right, let's move on to some news about casting. And basically, I think that Spider-Man casted their entire cast in the past week, because there's not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, but 6 stories since we podcasted last time on casting for the Spider-Man movie. So where do you guys want to start? Lobster, you got something?
Did you talk about Donald Glover yet being cast?
We did last week, but
Okay,
you want to speculate on his character, maybe?
Well, I will say that if you recall, Donald Glover was the subject of a very large and fervent social media campaign, Donald for Spider-Man, to basically have him cast as the next Spider-Man. And I think, I can't remember if this was before Andrew Garfield or not, but back when he was on Community, and it was actually referenced in a Community episode where he wore a Spider-Man t-shirt. And I'm a huge fan of Donald Glover as an actor. I'm a huge fan of Childish Gambino as a rapper. So to see him in a Spider-Man movie in any shape or form would be pretty exciting. So I'm happy about that. I will say that the casting of Abraham Atta in Spider-Man. Abraham Atta played the young child soldier in the Netflix original movie Beasts of No Nation, which you can listen to our review on Art House Legends of that film and Abraham Atta's performance, which was stellar. So having him cast is pretty awesome. The rest of the crew I am not too familiar with. I will let you guys take those.
I'm not too familiar either. Michelle, do you have any names that jump out at you? Otherwise, I'm just going to run down all of them. Okay, so we have
not really.
Michael Mando. We've got Hannibal Buress. We've got
Hannibal Buress, yeah. Hannibal Buress is an awesome stand-up comic and actor. You can see him a ton on At Midnight on Broad City. He's phenomenal. I forgot that I didn't see him on the list, but he's great.
Yeah, and Martin Starr and Logan Marshall Green, and then 3 younger casting roles with Isabel Amarez, Jorge Lenneborg Jr., I believe, and JJ Tota. And I believe that probably classmates of Peter Parker or friends or something like that, just by the age of the 2 younger ones, although Isabel Amara is definitely older than that. But so we'll see. If you're interested in Spider-Man, lots of great links in the show notes. Go check them out. And I'm sure Lauren will come back in 2 weeks and correct me on just about everything. So stay tuned for that if you're interested in that. So there's another cool news story that happened in the past week. We're talking about Daredevil. Did you guys see this note about Charlie Cox and the Funko Pops?
Yeah.
That was so adorable.
Great.
So Michelle, what happened?
He posted a tweet. It's like Charlie Cox asked at Original Funko for a couple of Daredevil pops to take to hospitals and schools. And he's like thinking, oh, maybe a few. Instead, there's a picture of him. He's just surrounded by like hundreds. And I thought that was so adorable and wonderful just to see how charitable, Pop Funko can be.
Yeah,
it makes me feel good when I buy mine. I will show my Flash from doing Crimson Comet. There he is.
Yeah, my Daredevil
makes me want to keep
buying them. Yeah, feed the addiction.
Exactly.
No, I went to a con this weekend, and you know how the con fad is those mystery boxes and stuff.
Yes.
I was like, oh, why not? And I bought one, and inside is an Iron Man Pop Funko.
Nice.
So I might keep it.
Yeah, you just have to. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
So just to reiterate, Charlie Cox asked Pop Funko for some Pop Funkos to go to a hospital
to hand out,
and he literally got more than a couch full. It's basically a couch in of itself, and he is
like an Iron Throne of Funko Pops.
He is very happy to be amidst all of them because he's going to be given away, not because he's like, oh, these are all my character or anything.
No.
And then also, Lobster, you had a note that I had actually ran into, but you were talking about with Charlie Cox about his possible Star Wars role that never came.
Right. I don't know if you were aware that he auditioned to play young Han Solo in the reboot or prequel. We can't call it a prequel, though, can we? No, we can't call it a prequel. A pre-story of a pre-tale of Han Solo. So he auditioned for the role, obviously intending to channel Harrison Ford. But after many, many months of playing Matt Murdock, he forgot to make eye contact with the producer he was auditioning for. And they were like, hey, why aren't you looking at me? Why are you being all weird? And he was like, sorry. I'm used to playing a blind person. So he did not get the role. It went to somebody else.
Bummer, but probably for the best. So, I mean, we get more.
Right.
Cox
I want Charlie Cox to do well in Hollywood, but I kind of want to give him a little break. Let him play Daredevil and then do Defenders, and then
that's a good question. So you're an actor in Hollywood and you're basically playing in a reboot, prequel, pre-story, whatever. Do you want to play in the shadow of another great actor? And you got to admit, at this point in time, Harrison Ford is a great actor. Do you want to play in the shadow of him? Do you want to be known to be playing the next guy down the road?
Well, I mean, there are many roles that have translated to new actors. Obviously Shakespeare, right? There is those are roles that have been passed down. James Bond, the Doctor. So there are tons of roles that have moved from actor to actor.
Right, actor to actor, but not necessarily great. Go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah, but that's like the role, like
Sure.
this is
Yeah.
It's Harrison Ford. He's like a living legend. He's just Han Solo. He's also Indiana Jones.
Right.
He was the president. He's like an entity onto himself. He's just this essence. And so now you're going to be like, yeah, I'm the new guy in Han Solo.
And I think the fact that they cast someone who kind of looks like a young Harrison Ford, that to me is kind of like, okay, which way are you going to go? Like, you could do the de-aging CGI that they do that still kind of looks weird, or you could just cast somebody completely new, like they did with the Star Trek reboot. They cast all new.
Men in Black.
Yeah, sure. So, I don't know. I don't see Charlie Cox. When I look at Charlie Cox, I don't think in any way Harrison Ford. So I don't know if he'd be a good fit for that.
Exactly. I mean, Han Solo, maybe. Harrison Ford, no. So
the idea that Charlie Cox could show up in a future Star Wars film would be awesome. I don't know.
I think absolutely everybody in Hollywood wants to be in Star Wars.
Right.
So there's only so many roles.
Some money. I don't know if you were aware. We were talking about box office before, but it's made a bit of cash.
So I did not account for The Force Awakens nor any of the other Star Wars films because I was talking about comic adaptation films.
Right, absolutely.
So don't expect any sci-fi stuff. I might do that later, but it's going to be a little bit harder to account for. In any event, thank you guys very much. Michelle, any last words about Harrison Ford? Charlie Cox? Shirtless scenes? Okay. We're going to go on to the feedback. All right, this is the part of the show where we run down our wonderful feedback from our audience. Thank you to everybody for listening and then interacting with us later. We do this largely for you, and we like to talk about it, but we wouldn't be putting it out in a podcast if it wasn't for you. So thank you very much. And then the first feedback we got was from our friend, and definitely I can say he's our friend, Mr. Ferris. He said he just watched episode 12 of Daredevil, believing it was the season finale. Then it wasn't. One more Christmas in July. Woohoo!
Christmas came early.
It did for the Ferris Family Theater. And by the way, we called out the Ferris Family Theater for providing us with a Daredevil song with lyrics that he provided last week. I have not received said Ferris Family Theater song, so I am looking forward to that. Lobster, you remember the Ferris Family Theater, don't you?
Absolutely, yeah, sure.
So we are definitely looking forward to the Ferris Family Theater and providing us with the lyrics to the song that he provided us last time. Moving on, this is kind of a two-parter. So this is Lauren when she was doing her live tweet last night of the episode. She said, D-Coop dream role, James Bond. And then Christy at Adonna Girl replied and said, he did play Bond's creator in a short BBC series.
Fleming, the man who would be Bond.
There you go. So Dominic Cooper, and actually I think that tweet was from Comic Palooza, which we haven't talked about yet, but I'll get to that in a second. Ferris also tweeted us, and he said, never expected that kind of emotionally devastating moment from the Punisher of all characters. And basically talking about Father of the Year, Frank the Punisher Castle. So, Michelle, you don't know what that's all about yet, but you will be finding out rather soon. So that's a tease. It's a great moment in the series. Ferris also had a question. There's a lot of Ferris this week. Ferris had a great question this week, and I'm going to throw it out here on the podcast to anybody listening, because I personally have not even had time to do this. Ferris is asking, and he's a big music guy, by the way, big soundtrack guy, just big music. He's got some heavy metal band books and stuff like that. Just go to, what's his website? Something about butts. I can't remember. Michelle, you remember what his website is off the top of your head? I don't know. Catch him on Twitter at DXFerris on Twitter. So it is. Anyone have the Daredevil soundtrack? The Netflix series.
I have season 1 soundtrack.
How is it?
Good.
Okay.
Yep. The music for the show is great. So yeah.
All right. So we also got a great tweet, and this is when I'll start really talking about Comic Palooza. Lauren went out and represented both Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. and pretty much Gonna Geek Network at Comic Palooza last weekend. If you haven't already checked out the great interviews that we've already posted, both on our YouTube channel and our feed, episodes 126, 127, 128, and 29, 4 interviews, amazing people that she was able to interview because of the con. Go check those out. She also did a couple of panels, and we talked about it in those episodes. If you guys haven't had a chance to listen to them, we talked all about what we're expecting. She was on 3 different panels over the weekend at Comic Palooza. She said, or Nerdy Curious said on Twitter, "Ladies represent podcaster panelist at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D." So yes, Lauren was on 3 different panels at Comic Palooza last weekend. She did an amazing job. You know what? The best thing to do would be go to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/GonnaGeek and look at the NASA vehicle she was able to report on. That is a fun video to watch, and give it a thumbs up too, and tell Lauren how much you enjoyed it. It is a fun. Michelle, you had.
She's so adorable in the video. Like, she's having so much fun writing in this cool concept car, how the wheels turn and everything. It's hilarious. Go watch it.
It is. She did an amazing job. And once again, please give it a thumbs up, because Lauren would really like to know if you liked it or not. All right, we'll move on. At the Chris Farrell tweeted that I think at Sithwitch, which is Lauren, from Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., got a great interview with you, and he's tweeting at Ming Chen. Yes, Lauren interviewed Ming Chen from Comic Book Men, and that was a fun interview. It was a great listen, as Chris says. That is episode 128 on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., which can be found at GonnaGeek.com. Andy Migna, friend Andy Migna of the cast, who often sends us emails. Matter of fact, he does have an email, which we'll go over in a second. He said, through the first... gonna need to rewatch first 2 okay, though first gonna need to rewatch the first 2 seasons on Blu-ray. And he's talking about how Netflix has now added season 3 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the show that we actually podcast about. So I just want to say I actually saw this tweet, Andy, and then I saw yours, and I didn't even remember it until I saw yours again. So thank you very much.
It is on Netflix already. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 3.
Yeah, and there's the whole CW.
There's a debacle going on right now between Hulu,
and the CW.
That will, so that will affect us on Crimson Comet a little bit, because we use Hulu to rewatch episodes of The Flash after they air. And so it looks like Hulu is not going to get them right away.
The CW website, I think it was not going to affect the CW website.
It may or may not. The website will be clear.
Itself will be fine, because the CW runs that. It's just they're not going to share it with Hulu now. You can, and if you have an iDevice, the CW app is a pretty good one. They have good playback of their episodes. So.
So I read that story very specifically, and I looked into seeing if it actually impacted the CW website. Now, it might, if you go more than 5 episodes, you might not see it, but it'll be there for 5 weeks.
But the flip side of that seems to be that the CW shows will come to Netflix faster in the future.
2 or 3 days after the whole season. Yeah.
That would be pretty cool.
Yep.
Rewatch.
All right, we actually received an email from Andy, and Lobster has taken the opportunity to peer through it. So what did Andy have to say?
Oh my gosh, I have not talked to Andy in ages, but we used to talk live, which was like crazy time, because he is all the way in Europe. So to shout out his email on episode 2, right. How did Foggy manage to drag Matt back home? I don't know. I think we decided probably Uber, car service played. Yeah. Or the fireman's carry. Yep. Yeah, sure. Hoist them aloft. Matt senses, this is back to Andy's email. Matt senses switching between oversensitive and none This can't be good.
Mm-mm.
And I'm going to quote here, cut the shit, lady. You're dealing with us now. Okay, Foggy has some balls, Andy says. Barely 12. Oh, man, that was a stupid idea to tell Shane. Adios. Walking Dead reference there with John Bernthal's character. And nice offer, Karen, but something really dramatic has to happen before Matt will be honest with you. Ouch. Sick burn. Great hearing from you, Andy.
All right. And the most important, his rating for the episode. Bottom line, improving.
Oh, right. Sorry.
8 out of 10 doomed pawn shop.
Right. Oh, my gosh. I missed that. It was below the fold. Yeah. 8 out of 10 doomed pawn shop owners. Yes.
Andy rates each episode on some sort of scale. And it's funny each time. So just want to say thank you very much to Andy. I did get your emails for the next 2 episodes, so they will be in the hopper when we return in July. So this is at the time where we're walking out the podcast. I just want to say thank you very much to everybody for hanging with us. We really appreciate that. We will be off the air live for 2 weeks. I do have one unreleased podcast, which will release next week. It will be the Astonishing X-Men graphic motion, whatever it is. So we will be going over that. We originally did that in advance of Apocalypse. When it came out, we did X-Men First Class and we did X-Men Days of Future Past, and then we took a look at this motion comic, and that will be releasing. It would be episode 91 next week. After that, we're taking a week off for the 4th of July, and then we will be back. Haley might be back that next week. I'm not sure, so just stay tuned for that, but we will be off for 2 weeks. Lauren will be live tweeting. I don't know what she's going to be live tweeting because I didn't get a chance to ask her before this podcast, but we did go through the fact that she will be live tweeting the next couple weeks. It will be something fun, probably some sort of X-Men cartoon or anime or whatever she calls it. So that is going to be the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned to our Twitter feed that will be at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, both Tuesdays. Just a reminder, you can find us on Wednesday nights, 9 p.m., except for the next 2 weeks at www.geeks.live. That's where we live stream all of our stuff. So if we don't happen to be on Blab, if we happen to be on like Hangouts on Air or some other streaming opportunity, don't worry on where to catch us. You can always catch us at geeks.live. And also, if you're looking for the rest of our content, we have a website, legendsofshield.com. It points to all of our content on the Gonna Geek Network. We have a voicemail line if you want to get in touch with us. That is 844-THE-BUS-1 or 844-843-2871. We do have a Facebook page, which we do stream this live on Facebook Live, and we're live, and that is at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. We have a Twitter account, which Lauren live tweets all the funny stuff that she does there at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. We have a Tumblr page where our stuff gets posted. We do have a YouTube channel as part of the Gonna Geek Network, and once again, that's youtube.com/GonnaGeek. And also, I'm so glad to be saying this with Lobster in the room, you can find our forums, our network forums, either at forums.gonnageek.com or
Gonna Geek on the Tapatalk app. That's Tapatalk.
So thank you very much, everybody, for downloading and listening to the podcast. We really appreciate it, as I said before, and we do this for you as much as for us. I mean, we get together and talk about this stuff as we do. Lobster, we're actually in a offline, online group that talks about this sort of stuff, but I'm just glad to be able to talk to you about this stuff in person and then release it for everybody else to actually listen to, and so they can participate in the conversation as well. So really appreciate that. Michelle?
We really would like to express our gratitude to everybody who tweets with us. We really enjoy the interaction that we get with everyone on Twitter.
And don't forget about our Loot Crate Marvel Collector Core Women of Power giveaway. Let us know who you would gender swap and who would you cast to play them in the MCU movie.
Once again, I chose Star-Lord, and I went with Kristen Wiig. Lobster, you chose?
I chose War Machine with Aisha Tyler running things.
And Michelle?
Lucy Liu is Daredevil.
All right. Michelle, thank you so much for coming on at the last minute. I really appreciate this podcast. Would not have happened without you tonight. Thank you so much. And Lobster, thank you very much for coming on board. And we will see you both in another Daredevil episode sometime later this summer at a date TBD. Michelle, thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me. I always have fun.
And Lobster, thanks for all your great knowledge, including your Easter eggs. Always appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
All right. Until next time, I'm Agent Stargate Pioneer.
I'm Consultant Michelle.
And I'm Consultant Lobster.
So many consultants. Guys, I don't have any money. I can't pay you. Let's put it on your tab, right?
You'll get my bill soon.
I'll bet.
Thank you for listening. If you want to leave us feedback, go to gonnageek.com and you will find all of our contact information and other shows. You can also visit legendsofshield.com where you'll find our complete archive of podcasts. The music heard on this podcast is by Kevin MacLeod and can be found at incompetech.com. The opinions heard on this podcast are those of the individual host and do not represent Legends, Stream, or Gonna Geek. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the property of the Disney Corporation. No infringement is intended.